Hi, Phyllis here from southernfrugal.com. This afternoon, well it's actually late afternoon, we're going to fix some more muffins. Now today, we didn't have a green smoothie this morning. We had some of those muffins I fixed. I think I called them healthy muffins. I'm not sure what I called them. But anyway, this is a very similar recipe. I'm going to change a few things, and this is really my recipe. It is. I mean, I kind of like made it up, right? All right, so the first thing we got to do is grind some old-fashioned oats into some oat flour. And with my Vitamix, I got the little beaker that you can grind dry stuff in, like nuts. You can make peanut butter, almond butter, and whatever in the dry ingredient little beaker, caffer, whatever it is. I'm going to put that in there now. Let me see, so y'all can see that, yeah. And so this is about probably a cup and a half of oats, and I'm just going to dump those in. Now the reason I had them in a plastic bag is because that little book on whole grains that came with the Vitamix said that you should have your grains cold. So they're cold. Alright, and so all we're going to do, and by the way, this comes with a different type little lid. I mean, it's the same type, but much smaller little lid for this one. And I'm going to hook it. Now, the directions say to turn it on variable speed, 1, then slowly turn it up to 10, and then flip it up to high, and not to grind it for more than a minute. That's what it said. It's hard to believe that it could be flour in a minute. And I only need half a cup for these muffins. The rest of it's going to be in flour. So we're going to see how it does. Y'all hang on, okay? All right, here we go. Okay, I'm definitely going to have that tamper to stir it down from the side, so I'm going to get that. Hold on. This is a much shorter tamper. And you know, I read the instructions and I didn't remember it talking about having to use the tamper, but I guess I just didn't read that part, but you need to kind of do it down there. It's been grinding, from the best I can see, about 25 seconds. So anyway, we're going to go again with it. So hold on here. Here we go. And the best I can figure, that was about a minute, counting both times. It's ground up really fine. All right, let me get a bowl and dump it out. All right, I'm just going to dump it into this little bowl. Yeah, and this one is marked. Can you see that? There. See? Dry. Let's see what that says. Dry container. Yeah, it's much smaller than the other container. All right, so all I really need from this oat flour it is now is 1/2 cup. So let me get my measure. All right, I've got my other stuff all measured out here, but I want to put this in with my dry ingredients. Now it's ground fine, and it's actually a little bit warm. Just a little bit. I can't wait to get some wheat and grind my own flour. All right, so 1/2 cup of oat flour, and I'm adding that to 1.5 cups of just all-purpose flour. And to that, I'm going to add, and by the way, I'm going to put this in the freezer for the next time I make these muffins. Just going to go ahead and put it right back in the same plastic bag. All right, so to the dry ingredients, you've got 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 1/2 cup of oat flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. So I'm going to mix that in now. Obviously, I'm going to add salt, but I'm going to add the salt to the Vitamix when I'm mixing up the rest of the stuff. All right, so I'm just going to set this aside now. I did sift the flour before I measured it. So the flour is 1.5 cups, 1/2 cup of oatmeal ground up into flour, and 1 teaspoon of baking soda and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And I will list the recipe down below in the description. All right, so now we're ready for the Vitamix again. And I don't have my large container. Hold on. Now, my understanding is that the blades in the dry mix container are different than they are in this large one. So this one, the ingredients need to be wet. All right, so we're ready. I know I got to get 2 eggs. All right, so I need 2 large eggs. I'm just going to move this right here to put all this stuff in. I know I shouldn't walk off camera, y'all. I guess I'm getting, too familiar. That's it. All right, so I'm going to crack both of these eggs into the container. Crack them on a flat surface or like the plastic so you don't get any shells in there. All right, now to this I'm going to add 1 small, this is a golden delicious apple, but it just needs to be small. Let me see if I can have something. Yeah, you can see by the measuring cup about the size of the apple. Now I've got to peel this. I've also got to wash my hands, get the egg off, and so we'll be back in just a second. Okay, we got the little small apple peeled. I'm going to go ahead and dump that in. That would equal about 1/2 cup of chopped apples. 1/2 cup of cooked sweet potatoes. Now, these sweet potatoes were previously frozen. I just thawed one out in the microwave, cut it in half, and that made right at a 1/2 cup. So they might be still a little bit, they're certainly cold. They might be frozen, I don't know. Okay. Now, the next thing we're going to add will be 1/2 cup of, I've used golden raisins. Now, the Vitamix is going to just grind all this stuff to a pulp. And that's what's going to give the great taste for these muffins. Now, this time, I'm using 1 cup of pecans. And those are just pecan pieces. I'm going to go ahead and put in 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1 heaping teaspoon of cinnamon, ground cinnamon. And I'm going to go ahead and put in a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And I love the taste of vanilla and cinnamon together. Smells really good. All right, now I'm going to put in 3/4 of a cup of dark brown sugar. It's 3/4 of a cup. And I'm going to dump in 2 tablespoons of butter. They're probably a little softened, but really not much. 1/3 of a cup of almond milk. And hopefully I've got enough moisture in here to get this mixed up with the eggs and the almond milk. All right, there's the Vitamix machine. We're ready. And I've already greased my muffin tin. This would be for 12. And this time I did use the coconut oil, and all I did was just put my pan in the oven, which is preheated to 400 degrees, and I just put it in there for just a second, enough to get it a little warm. That way the coconut milk would melt and works well. All right, so now we're ready. And what's in the Vitamix, once it gets liquefied, that's what we're going to pour into the muffins. All right, so hold on, because I got to get my spatula. I'll be right back. All right, we are ready to mix this up. And I went ahead and put my tamper in, just because I probably know I'll need it. All right, so first we're going to start out on variable speed 1, turn it up to 10, then turn it up to high until it gets mixed up, which probably won't take maybe 30 seconds. All right, so here we go. Pretty thoroughly mixed. Now we're going to add that to these dry ingredients right here. All right, here we go. That lid off, and I'm using the little spatula that came with my Vitamix, because it'll fit down beside the blades very nicely. Now I think because of the raisins, maybe this smells like it's had wine in it. It really does. It has a very nice smell. Now with this little spatula, you can get right down in there beside the blades and get everything out. Alright, got it pretty well cleaned out. Now all we need to do is mix this in with the flour, and we'll be ready to put that in our little muffin tins. Can't really mix it up with a whisk because it'll really get too thick, and because the flour was sifted, you don't really have to worry about lumps, and even if you have some in there, they'll come out when you bake it. And again, let me just say, I said 400 degrees. That's totally wrong. You want to bake these at 350 degrees for about 20-25 minutes, maybe even 30 minutes, depending on what type of pan you use. Now, my pan is dark, so I'm probably not going to bake these but about 25 minutes. Just want to make sure that flour's mixed in. Some on the bottom there. think that's got it. Alright, so in a little greased muffin tin, and I'm going to actually fill these up really full. Get my spatula out. Alright, we're ready. Should make 12. And I'm going to use all my batter. And you really, last time I made these, they weren't exactly like this, but when I made the healthy muffins, I was a little concerned they might kind of go over the side a little bit, but they didn't. So this time I know I can really fill them full and not have to worry about that. Also, last time, a couple of them kind of stuck to the side. And so this time, that's why I used the coconut oil, so I could, use my fingers and get all the sides greased all the way up really well. I think this is going to make exactly 12 muffins, which is what I was hoping for. Get every last bit of that out of there. This is a little short. There we go. Just put it in there. Alright. So these are ready to go in the oven. 350 degrees, 20, 25, maybe even 30 minutes, depending on what kind of muffin pans you use. There's what they look like. I fill them all the way up to the top. Alright, when these get done, we'll be back. I can find a hand to cut the camera off. There we go. See you in a minute. Okay, the muffins actually cooked 25 minutes in my oven. Now this is sort of a dark pan, so if you have a light, shiny pan, I would say probably 20 minutes would be more than enough. Alright, they're really hot, but I'm going to take one out. See how easy they come out? Perfectly browned. And I'm going to cut this in two. And I'm putting butter on each half. And Mr. Bucky and I are going to have just half of a muffin, because in just a little while I'm going to fix us a green smoothie for supper. And the reason for that is we had lunch. We had some roast beef and some of the frozen Gullah rice and some Brussels sprouts. So we didn't get our green smoothie in this morning, so we're going to have it tonight. Now I'm not going to make a big green smoothie just because it's nighttime. So let me get this melted. I don't think I'm going to be able to taste of this. Let's see. I'm going to give him that half. See if I can use a fork to taste of it. Get that butter melted. It's really hot. Oh. All right. Here we go. Hard to taste it because it's so hot. Do another little bite. It's really hot. They're good. They're real good. Okay. Let me give Mr. Bucky his muffin. All right, we will see y'all next time. Now, I'm getting ready to make another video. I'm going to make it on the green smoothie we're going to have tonight. And I'm going to put some different stuff in it. All right, so we'll see y'all next time.